Hey everybody, welcome to another Bourbon and Blockchain video. Today we're going to be talking with the calculator guy, one of the, the greatest out there. This person just throws content out left and right. I mean, I think lately I've been watching you put out almost like a video a day. How do you even keep up with that?
Very carefully. Actually, lately I've been doing a lot of this stuff behind the scenes, like building calculators, which has been incredibly difficult. Specifically, I don't know if you guys have realized I post about the StrongBlock Pro calculator, where I'm going to be doing like a deprecation modeling for Polygon nodes and StrongBlock nodes, and that has been like the bane of my existence. But I did get a video out today, so I am happy that I got back on track.
Yeah, I remember. So we started talking several months ago. I think the first time me and you started talking was maybe like in May or maybe somewhere around either May or June. And since then, the amount of content you've been creating and the followers that you've gotten is just insane. You just blew up in that short amount of time.
Yeah, I think that may have actually been in part due to the interview or the show that you and Grant had me on with. So thank
Yeah,
you.
we did like the round robin, and then I
Mhm.
think we had one where we talked to David Moss, right?
Yes, but I wasn't there for that one.
Okay, so this was the round robin where we had crypto influencers, right?
Yeah, it was Keith, me, Chris, Lefty Chris, and then you and Grant.
Yeah, yeah. We kind of want to start doing stuff like that again. I've talked to Carolina Keith. I've talked to you and some other people that we're friends with, and I think that's something that we kind of want to get back to is having, roundtable discussions about various topics and just kind of, seeing how we feel and seeing how that applies to everybody else and how they're feeling. So I think that's important to kind of let people know what's going on and just have that overall discussion.
Yeah, definitely agree. Also, like most influencers have a different niche. So, like Taiki super big into like DeFi kingdoms and crop rotation into Aurora. You have Justin Bram, I think, who's like really big into doing things on Ethereum chain. You have DeFi Crypto today, who's like really big into high APY. He also does spreadsheets, which I appreciate. But everyone has like their own specific niche, and I think it would be cool to have people together to explore each other's niche. That sounds kind of wrong, but live.
No, no, you know what? I agree with it because I think a lot of this space has not been explored. I don't know if anybody has the right way to do things, because I think there's a flaw in everybody's delivery, but everybody's learning at the same time, right? And one of the things that I've learned is that something I don't think it's important about what I like personally, right? It's not about what Dreko wants. It's about what people are looking at and what people are interested in. Because if it becomes what I like, then you fall into a trap of everybody trying to follow what you're doing, and that could be a negative thing.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I had a friend in Saudi Arabia. I was teaching over there, who used to say like, "Never believe your own hype." And I feel like if you only talk about the things you like, you're only going to hear from people who like the same thing you do, and you're going to get a feedback loop that's really dangerous for investing, because you're gonna think about a project way more positively than it warrants.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess you can say that's like an echo chamber, right? You fall into an echo chamber, and if you don't have people around you that are willing to tell you the truth, right? So, another thing I like to tell people is don't get emotionally attached to a project, which is difficult. I mean, I think both you and myself are emotionally attached to at least one project, and
Yeah.
that's tough. It's
Mhm.
tough because you want to see what's going on, you want to be unbiased, and you want to look at what's in front of you, but sometimes that's difficult to do.
Right. Yeah. There's the ostrich bias. The ostrich
Yeah.
bias. Yeah. So I used to teach like biases and fallacies at my previous job, teaching at an international school, theory of knowledge, really cool class. Anyways, the ostrich bias is where you will intentionally sort of bury your head in the sand, the proverbial sand,
Hmm.
to avoid information. And so, when people get bills that they don't want to open and look at, they'll put them at the bottom of the stack and sort of avoid them for weeks. If there's negative news about a protocol, the ostrich bias says that some people may just totally ignore or skip over that news, uh, which is really dangerous in investing.
Absolutely. And I think, some people can, if they haven't done that investing before, but they might know of somebody that has done that in the past when it came to relationships.
That's right.
Like everybody wants to tell you that, hey, your girlfriend's really hanging out with all these other people when you're not around, and this, that, and the other, and you just don't want to hear it. You want to ignore it, and you fall into that ostrich fallacy of trying to ignore the information because you don't want to believe it's true.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
So before we get too far down the road, I will say that here on Bourbon and Blockchain, one of the things that we do is we enjoy a little bit of adult beverage. I know that you do not partake in an adult beverage, which is fine, but I do. I happen to do so, and tonight I'm going to have a little bit of Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is my go-to bourbon. I love it, and it's not talking too much tonight, but it's just one of those bourbons that's really, really smooth, and you can pretty much drink it with anything if you want to mix it or whatnot. So if you haven't tried it before, give it a shot. It's pretty good stuff. Go ahead.
I may have to get some bourbon just so I can feel included.
Oh, no, don't feel excluded at all. The one thing about us is we want everybody to enjoy, but we do find that a lot of good conversations happen over a stiff drink, but it doesn't mean that's the only good conversations, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, definitely.
Also, nothing that is discussed in this is considered financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes, and this is also just our opinions. So we're just simpletons talking about cryptocurrency and other projects and topics in that generation or genre. So other than that, yeah, I figured one of the things that we could talk about as well. You have your own Discord that's been blowing up. I mean, I think you're over 7,000 members now, right?
Yeah, that's right. We have over 7,000 members. I mean, like the vast majority of that is free membership. So it started off as a free Discord and still is a free Discord, but there's a small premium section that we're building out now where we're going to have weekly newsletters. We're going to have exclusive videos. We're probably going to have like a live Zoom meeting where the paid members will come in and we'll do a Q&A with all of the mod team, including myself, every now and again. And a lot of different resources, of course, access to all my paid calculators. But yeah, I mean, the Discord is great. It's a lot, and it's like one of those additional places where alpha is usually generated. It's sort of weird because it's like Discord is a place where like you can host a platform that is supposed to be at your service to other people, but then you're getting the majority of the benefit. So like the people who come to the Discord will talk about these interesting projects and know a lot more about it than I would have known prior. So it's sort of like I'm getting the service. But
yeah, I guess one of the things that I'm finding difficult is making it all structured and keeping it all in order because there's so much information and content that's coming towards you.
It's exactly right. So I mean, we my team, like we went through so many different iterations of what exactly to include in the Discord in terms of categories and what not to include and what to include in terms of channels. Like if you wanted, I don't know if you guys are in multiple different Discords, but like Taiki's Discord, Taiki Meta, has so many different chains and different farms, and it works really well for him. But like if we wanted to do farming and nodes and like stable stuff and IDOs and NFTs, like how do you have all of that without diluting the conversations? So that's something that we struggle with. I don't know how you guys are doing it, but growing organically into the channels is, I think, the way to go.
Yeah, we tried to minimize it. We try to keep it as small as possible and get the most content out of the channels that we have. But to be honest with you, even that, I mean, you start to see that it's starting to get muddied up, and we're coming up with the solution for that. We haven't implemented it yet, and I'll let you know more about it once we get it off the ground. We think we're finding another way to kind of archive information. We'll see what happens. It's not a done deal yet, and we haven't tested it, so I don't want to give you bad information before we test it. But yeah, I think what Discord's really good at is getting information across quickly. It's good at stuff from in the now, right now. What are we talking about? It's horrible at cataloging information.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I mean, the DeFi and crypto is so dynamic that like I'll often find myself getting messages from people about my old videos. I'm like, no, please don't watch those, because anything that I talked about a month ago or 2 months ago, like that's 5 years in crypto time. It's probably not that relevant anymore, with the exception of like Tokamak and Osmosis, which I did a video on today, which are incredible protocols and have stood the test of time. So thank God those were like my first 2 videos and they ended up doing really well. But like there's so many things popping up now that I would bet are not going to be around in 3 to 5 months.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've been noticing that a lot. I guess that's one of the topics that we can talk about is what's going on in the crypto space. Because in the last, I'd say 2 months, a little bit like somewhere around 2 months, there's just been an exodus of projects and
Yep.
projects that are either rugging or just failing. They're not rugging; they just fail. It's a very bad sentiment for the crypto market because it literally bleeds into everything. Everybody gets affected by that. So why do you think that that's happening right now?
I mean, there are a lot of different theories out there. So, I mean, there's just forks in general. What forks do is they dilute a target audience. So, if your target audience is people who like reserve currencies like Ohm and Time and Hector, then you're going to create a fork for that target audience. That target audience is going to take some of their investment that otherwise would have been in the initial parent protocol and move some to the fork protocol. And as those forks continue to grow and grow and grow, sure, you are attracting some new audience, but you're mostly diluting the original audience. And then as those projects rug or fail or get bank run, by the way, there's most of the projects are not getting rugged, they're bank running, which means that
Right.
like people are selling and that sell pressure is convincing more people to sell, and that just like kills the project. Though there are a lot of rugs as well. So, I'm not going to say there aren't rugs. And when those rugs or bank runs or abandoned projects happen, it leaves a really bad taste in people's mouth. And not just, it's like negative conditioning, right? You say, okay, this was an Ohm fork or reserve currency. I got punched right in the face for participating in it. Let me go try another one. Another punch in the face. Okay. Well, now I'm looking at Ohm again, thinking, I'm going to get punched in the face. And then, of course, today, a bit of a punch in the face.
Yeah. You know what? That's unfortunate because, I think you and I would agree. I don't want to speak for both of us, but Ohm and the initial forks of Ohm, the very, very early ones, were doing a great job. They had some really good ideas. They were different in many ways. There was innovation going in different directions. It was healthy. And then all of these forks that started happening after that, it was just too many forks too quickly. And they were promising such high reward that it was taking away from the OGs. And the
That's right.
OGs meant well. I mean, they're still here, right? So I think that like that really, really did an impact on the entire DeFi node and DAO space.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so Danny is a super controversial figure now. So when Time first sort of popped up, people were like Danny Maxis. Everyone sort of seemed like Danny. He was this figure who was for the people, people Maxi, Frog Nation, all that kind of stuff. But like now, very, very divided. I know some people who think that his platform like intentionally locks tokens so you can't get out and then you get liquidated. I saw a really terrible case of that happening. I don't know if that was a smart contract exploit or something wrong with the contract, but literally he was trying for hours to get out of Abracadabra, showing me a screenshot saying, I can't get out, what do I do? And nobody would help him, and then he got liquidated for six-figure sum, and just heartbreaking stuff. So there's a lot going on in the ecosystem, especially with the whole sushi debacle. But like my point was that Time initially was a fork of Ohm that was doing something so different with its own ecosystem that the two could sort of stay, and they were on different chains. I thought that was really respectful and helpful and useful. But yeah, look at it now.
Yeah, it's some of the things that are going on with it. It's just recently, we've been seeing it just be kicked down pretty hard. So, but one of the things that I noticed, so I brought up this web page here on CoinMarketCap to kind of show this. But one of the other things that I noticed, if you look at the entire market, right? So this doesn't look like a huge dip here. What this is all of the market, the total market cap of all of crypto. So if you look at it on a much larger scale, it goes up and down. But in the last 3 months, if you look here at its peak, this was November 10th, 2021. And if you start watching it come down, this is till now, that difference is $1 billion. So I'm sorry, $1 trillion. So that's 2.8, almost 2.9 trillion right there. You see that?
Yeah.
And then right here, we're all the way down to 2. So, and that's very similar to the same time frame that you're looking at some of these coming down, right? So this is December, and it's starting to come down as well. So, I mean, I don't know how correlated they are.
If we look at, I mean, DeFi moves with Bitcoin to a large extent, and the more market cap your token gets, the larger market cap your token gets, the more it's going to be, I think, correlated with Bitcoin. But I mean, if you look at the difference in price from time under the same time frame, is it the same as a 33% correction, or is it down, substantially more than 33%?
Oh yeah, substantially more.
I say substantially more, right?
Yeah.
Now there are, these tokens, and they are hyperinflationary. I think most people understand that by now. I think at first when Ohm came out, I don't know how many people watching were around when Ohm first came out, but it wasn't a good time for some of the early adopters, and it was a great time for other ones. But a lot of people just didn't quite understand what was happening. We thought, okay, we're staking our Ohm here, and somehow we're getting paid to do that. Well, this is awesome. This is super cool. And if we hold it, we're just making free money. Now, of course, that wasn't necessarily how it was explained, and then slowly the narrative became like, oh, our investment only goes up if the market cap goes up. Okay, well, that sort of changes the dynamic. And then the narrative became, oh, our investment does go up if the market cap goes up, but not at the same ratio because of bond dilution. And then it was like, okay, well, how much are we being diluted by bonds? And then, time came around, and then you could mint really cheaply, really easily. And then, the whole bonding stuff with Hector was really cool. But now it's just like, if you have a hyperinflationary token, you can't maintain the price without maintaining consistent and exponential increase in demand, which is just not going to happen.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously coming out, and that information is starting to get out there. And I think that's pushing some people away from the projects, not meaning that the projects aren't still good. I think that they can still do well, but they're going to have to make some changes. One of the projects that you were talking about there was Heck, and Heck knew that this was an issue, and they just immediately did a full stop and said, we're going to go in a new direction. Like, we know that this can't be hyperinflationary anymore. We need to switch to a deflationary process, and we're going to try something different. So they, put in some proposals into their DAO, and they're going in a different direction because they've decided that that's not going to be best for the project anymore. So they're making changes. So I think some of these projects need to make some changes, or maybe not as drastic, but they have to do something, because if you look at the market, sentiment is definitely going downward.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and the forks aren't really stopping; they're just changing. So now we have just tomb fork after tomb fork after tomb fork. I don't know if you guys have seen. There's a great website for tomb forks. I can't think of it on hand, but it lists all of them, and it's just the sheer volume of these forks is obscene. Like, there's forks launching every day, every other day. Most of them rugging, most of them being failed projects, almost none of them with KYC or audits. But like, we went from Ohm forks to ring forks to tomb forks, and there is money to be made in some of these, but it's all PvP. So I don't know if you on your channel talk a lot about PvP versus PvE, but it's something that I am sort of like really invested in as a narrative. So PvP protocols are where you're directly competing with other investors, meaning you need to be earliest, you need to get out before other people get out. So you need to beat other people in order to make a profit, and other people must lose in order for you to make a profit. Now, that's a lot of these protocols. It's PvP. It's not malicious, but it's competitive. And I think a lot of people don't understand that in DeFi. They look at all protocols as just sort of being money making. You stake your tokens and you get paid. Well, it's just not the case, right? In some cases, you're getting incentives from foundations or incentives from big grants that are saying, let's pump this particular new chain full of foundational money. A lot of these protocols and farms will be able to offer incentives to new users. That's PvE, right? You're playing against the environment. You're going out and you're just farming, and it kind of is like free money. But a lot of these PvP protocols are just really hurting the culture of the DeFi space.
Yeah, I agree with you. No, I agree with you. I think part of what we're experiencing is, so just to add on to that, is I think what investors are looking for, and again, I don't want to speak for investors, but this is just coming from being in a position to listen to people and read constantly what people are saying, right? And I think what people are looking for is they want to find a project where they can put their money in it and make it a long-term yield-bearing successful project. And I think people want high returns, right? If you were to tell me my ROI was 100 days versus 30 days, I would pick 30 days, right? But
Sure.
I think overall, people want something that's just consistent or reliable. And
More
I
and
think,
more. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. And I think that's the number one thing people are looking for. And if you can find 3 or 4 projects that are consistent and reliable, they might not be 11,000 or 111,000 APY, but they're
Right.
consistent and they're making you income.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's something to be said for it. And I think one of the issues that people make is that they stray away from those things because maybe they're not getting what they want. They're not hitting their goal as fast as they want. And then they lose their money on something that's promising the moon and they get wrecked. And I
Yeah.
think we need to change that narrative. We got to help investors. We got to talk to each other and say a vast majority of your investment should be in that stable project and you should just explore the dangerous ones.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, all of these adages that you're told when you start investing, like don't invest more than you can lose. Your high risk portion of portfolio should be really small. Like it's all true, but no one really wants to believe it until it's too late, until they get wrecked, and that's what we call tuition. And people pay tuition. Sometimes they have to take a class over, uh, and it
Yeah.
sucks. And it hurts. But I mean, so I don't know if you want to say any of the protocols you're thinking about, but in terms of like this is going to maybe upset some people, but in terms of like the long-term lasting projects with really decent, consistent APY and APR, I don't think you can top the Ethereum blockchain. The Ethereum blockchain just has really, really solid projects. And yeah, you're paying for gas, but like you wait a year, you're still going to have those projects. They're still going to be there, those protocols. Also, another thing, sorry, let me go on a tiny bit of a tangent. Another thing that people don't realize in DeFi is that it didn't exist a couple of years ago. Like it just didn't exist. So the 2017 crash is not comparable to 2022, which is mind blowing to me. So I don't know. I was an investor during that crash. Totally sucked. I made a profit. My mom got wrecked, and I was like so excited to get her, investment. Luckily, I got her into Strong Notes. She's doing very well right now. Maybe even get to retire early. But like, it's just it doesn't even. We don't. This is uncharted territory. Like chains with protocols on them and farming and this liquidity issues, it's amazing. It's completely new and novel, and knowing what comes next is impossible. And making estimates based off of 2017 just isn't meaningful. I do think we'll hit a bear market eventually. I do think there'll be a cold winter or crypto winter, but I think the nature of it is going to be so dramatically different.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things that I'm trying to implement, and this is hard to do because you have people that are either brand new to the space and they're ready to go. They've got a pocket full of money. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's ahead of them and they're ready to invest. And they're saying, what's the next big thing?
Yeah.
And me, who's been sitting here watching all of this happen and being affected by it, I've lost a lot of money on some of these projects. And it is what it is. It wasn't what I couldn't lose. I knew that if I had lost it, I was willing to lose it. I was practicing safe investment strategy, but at the same time, nobody likes to lose money.
Yeah.
And what the sentiment that I'm trying to push is slow down. And we don't need to be the first ones, because if you're the first ones and you're not using literally just cutthroat attitude to take your money out, then you're going to get wrecked. So one person that you should listen to about that would be Carolina Keith. He'll tell you, if you're willing to go in there and get your money out at the top, and you can see where the top is based off the charts, and you don't care about the project or the other people that are in it, go ahead. But that's a pretty risky strategy, and it's cutthroat. You're literally all about the money at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the PvP mentality that is intoxicating, right? It does feel good to win, especially when you're competing. But the implications of you winning, if you really if you could see the loss of other people, man, it would probably break a lot of us. And so I don't know. I know that I was on a call a few days ago. I wish I could remember. It was what's his name? Crypto Banana, Professor Banana. He was hosting this live call, and they were just talking about investing in communities and trying to do more of this community building and more PVE kind of stuff, and less competitive investment. And I'm really hoping that there's a cultural shift towards that. Now, we have some L2s coming out, which I'm sort of excited about. I know that Metis is going to have like $100 million DAC investment, which is not the same as like foundation investment. So DAC is decentralized autonomous company, I think. So there should be like money flowing into Metis that can be PVE that people can just go and farm. Of course, people are really hyped and excited about Near and Aurora. Aurora being the L2 built on Near. So I'm hoping that there's going to be some good farming rewards again. I do hope that the people who are that fickle can go play that game. But what you're saying, when people are coming right into crypto for the first time, I hope that they understand that that's the game. That you don't just go and win.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't think that they do. And that's unfortunate. You try to tell them, because I don't like to watch anybody lose money. That's part of the reason why you and I both do this, is because we're trying to help, right? I mean, if I didn't want to help other people with their investments, then I wouldn't just waste my time doing this. And it's hard to tell somebody just wait and be patient, or look at these projects that are higher entry and have been around longer, right? And you might have a lower percentage of a return, but at the same time, it's less risky. So some people just don't want to hear that. No, I'm not gonna tolerate that nonsense. I'm gonna go full degen. Okay, but you also have to know the risks that are associated with that. So I think that I'm starting to take an approach of, why don't we step back and look at projects that have been around for a while that we forgot about, or projects that are surviving.
I think this is exactly the move right now. Definitely. So who tweeted about it? It was either Donku. It might have been Donku, who said like he's going to look back at Osmosis and
Yes.
Cosmo. And I was
Yep.
like, yes, absolutely. This has been like one of those tried and true protocols. I think it's an L1 also. It's like its own chain as well as like an AMM, and like 100% APR on oh my gosh, on Osmo Atom, right? Osmo's
Yep.
gone up by like $5, which doubled in value since 5 months ago. Atom just did a I don't know what, like a 60% increase in the past 2 weeks. So like, had you been getting 100% yield on that since Steven's Beard has his own meta, thank you. There's Luna UST on there. There's Luna Osmo. I don't know if there's a Luna Atom, but like all of these with above 20 to 30% APR, which you can convert into APY, which I love doing. You guys know that compounding is, compound interest is magic. But like that tokamak, which I just mentioned, definitely. And people, I mean, Yearn is a phenomenal protocol.
Yep.
It's just like, it's solid. Yeah, you're going to be getting between like 15 to 50% APR, APY, but if I can get like 45% APR on do you know the currency in South Korea?
No.
Yeah, well they have a stable coin that's like 45%, and I wouldn't mind betting on the South Korean economy. So like there's good plays out there. Yeah, they're a little bit more conservative, but the older plays too. I would like to talk strong, but I know that I'll get a lot of like messages and I don't know about you, but for me, a lot of people ask me about StrongBlock, and I mean a lot of people, and I don't know what to say.
Well, okay, so let's get into that a little bit, because I'm in the same position, and it's tough because I got into StrongBlock early. I mean, I bought StrongBlock in the hundreds, so it was like 100 and maybe 120 is when I first got in, and then it dipped, and I bought more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was in April. April is when I got in about.
I got in like June, I think.
Okay, so you hit the second dip. So I got in at like 100, like between 100 and $120, bought all the way up through 200, then it dipped back down, and I went heavy, and then that's where I got into Strong, and it's been great to me. The thing about Strong is it's been reliable, and it's been, not in the sense of the token value. The token value has fluctuated wildly, which is fine, but how it works and how it functions has been very, very consistent. So I try not to talk about it too much, because if you're getting in it right now, you still have 3 months to get your ROI, and it's a slow process. It's not a fast thing. And people poo-poo that because there's patience involved, and people do not like to be patient.
That's right. And also, like, I I don't know. When we got in, the rewards wallets looked totally different than they look now, and
Yes.
it's so hard for me to say one way or the other if investing now is a good idea. But like, if you would have asked me 3 weeks ago or 2 months ago, I would have said I still don't know. And by now, you almost would have made your ROI. So it's just what I've been saying mostly is that it's a faith play. Uh, like I took a leap of faith and it worked out for me.
Yeah.
I can't say it's a prudent investment choice because I track the reward wallets, and yes, they have gone down. They stabilized once Polygon was released. That's true. In fact, we can look at it. Let me just pull it up really quick. So Mr. Irish, shout out to him again. So we talked and he put this together and he's fantastic. I think StreamYard. Here we go. Okay. So share screen. Yeah. Okay. So can you guys see it? Maybe.
Yep. It's up.
Cool. All right. So this is the Dune Analytics dashboard for Strong. You can follow most of these things. They are really interesting, like the new / reinvest income ratio. So there's a lot of reinvestment, which is, in my opinion, a really good sign because we started dipping down there for a bit. But what I follow mostly is the rewards pools. So the rewards pools are like the 4 wallets that interact with each other to distribute rewards. And right around, let's see, November, they started really dropping off. Of course, November was also when the crypto market started to go down. So a lot of people were cashing out. I don't know if they were cashing out to buy into blue chips or cashing out to just get out of crypto for a bit. But now that the market's picking up again, we've been stable, if not going up, for a few weeks. I mean, yeah, there's a bit of a dip here, but like this is, how long is that? December 12th to now. So a month of stability is pretty good.
Yeah.
But I don't know the future, right? I can't tell you with any level of certainty that it's going to continue. Whoa, there we go. So I don't know how to. Won, thank you. Won is a South Korean currency. I was gonna say won. So yes, I love StrongBlock. Yes, it has changed my life. Yes, it has allowed me to go full-time crypto. But it was a bit of a faith play, and I still think it's a faith play. Like, if you have faith in the protocol, if you believe in David Moss and his vision, if you think that he's going to create his own blockchain, I mean, his team is, then yeah, go for it. But I will say with no such certainty that you will make your ROI or that it will be profitable as fast as you want it to be.
Yeah, and I don't think we can say that about any cryptocurrency. Because we don't control it and we're not pulling the levers. So I never tell anybody that. I just give them the facts and say you need to, and that's part of what Bourbon and Blockchain is doing is we're just giving you the facts and helping you with your own research and trying to make you a better researcher. You will never hear me say buy this project or protocol because I don't have that much confidence in it. And the funny thing about Strong is I'm at a point now since I've been in there so long that if it died tomorrow, I wouldn't get wrecked because I've made way more than I've put into it. I would be disappointed because I wouldn't say that I'm accustomed to it. I really, I know that it's coming. It's very reliable. So I would be very upset because it was gone, but I would have nothing negative to say. I would say, hey, it was a great ride while it lasted. I would probably cry. I'd probably cry. But I would be, I couldn't say anything negative about it because it was so successful. But with that being said as well, I think, and this is me personally, and then we can, move from Strong after this, I guess. But I think what they're doing with making their own blockchain is going to set the standard. Whereas if you don't have your own blockchain to do multiple chains, nodes as a service, you can't keep up. They're going to make such a big statement that it's like, this is the big dogs. If you can't keep up with this, then you're not going to be able to do what we're doing. And that's how they're going to separate themselves from the rest of the market.
Yeah. I mean, what are the other nodes as a service projects that are touting that they have like real nodes? I know a lot of them are doing phantom nodes. It's Thor, I think, and then there's
I don't know which ones are, Power, Thor, Comb is one of the new ones on the market right now, and they actually look like a pretty good protocol. They've got some pretty good developers. Pardon me?
And they presumably have real nodes and real endpoints.
Yeah, they have endpoints, all types of stuff. So we've actually been talking to them in the background and trying to feel them out. But and I was very direct with that project as well, because I spoke to the developers directly and told them, it's just I've got a lot of baggage because of what's been happening in the market. So it's,
Right.
I have trust issues. So, it's nothing against you personally and, whatnot, but there's a lot to look at before I can ever, trust something like that again.
And the criticisms towards Strong are entirely valid. Like, and
Yes,
I will admit that the amount of revenue that an Ethereum validator node brings in is not the amount of APR ROI that Strong nodes pay out, and
correct.
the rewards pools are filled by either reinvestments in compounded nodes or new investment. Like, that is the case. However, with the new chain, maybe we'll see some new ways of incentivizing nodes. But like all those criticisms are completely valid, definitely. However, what has happened is that node infrastructure in DeFi has dramatically been improved by StrongBlock. So, like, if you're a DeFi maxi, StrongBlock has provided an actual service to decentralized finance, and that is true. So, like, are the tokenomics a little bit pyramidal? Yes, they are. But are there nodes? Yes, there are actual nodes. There is node infrastructure. You can signal your nodes. You can use their endpoints. And I do believe that, like, Polygon, for example, has greatly benefited from the node infrastructure. Ethereum has greatly benefited from the node infrastructure. And I do believe that Phantom will greatly benefit from the node infrastructure.
Absolutely. You're right. I figure we'll take a couple questions that have been popping in since we've been talking. So this is Paulo K. He's saying, thank you for your time. I'd like to ask you, as a beginner with low money, with low knowledge, foreign, not really deep in math person, what would be an A+ investment?
I'll let you take that one first.
Honestly, it's tough because if you don't have a lot of money to invest and your risk tolerance is very low, then you want to pick projects that are low risk tolerance. So you're looking at potentially farming stable coins and things of that nature. Those are some of your lowest risk investments that you have, and sticking on, centralized exchanges, which nobody wants to do, right? Nobody wants to stay on centralized exchanges for various reasons. But if you're looking at low risk, medium reward without being able to lose your money, I mean, that's an option. But and then that's like the bait. Everything you do outside of that, every step you take away from that central exchange gets more and more difficult and more risky.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So to throw some protocols out there, I think most people are going to immediately think about Anchor, right? So on Parastation, Anchor 20% APR, sorry, 20%
Celsius.
Y. Celsius is another good one. That's a not DeFi, but yeah, it is crypto for sure.
Right.
And then if you're willing to spend some gas, Yearn has a lot of really nice vaults that'll get you between 20 to 45% on stable coins. So pretty consistent. There are some stable PvP plays that are, they're slightly PvP, but like there's no external revenue, which is why I'm saying they're PvP. Like 100 Finance and Platypus are getting really popular, a lot of attention right now because they're offering up to Platypus hundreds of percents of APR on stable coins without any fees on your UST or USD. You have to buy their proprietary token though and lock it up for 10 months, and then 100 you have to lock up their proprietary token for 4 years. But I've already made my ROI back, so I'm happy to be in there with stable coins. But also I didn't see anywhere about low risk. So if that person is willing to do riskier plays, then I would say, like, find a few influencers that you like, see when they start mentioning new protocols, and then join the Discord. Join the Discord as soon as you can, because if you can get in an IDO or a whitelist for even a protocol that might have midterm longevity, which is like 2 to 3 months, you will be profitable. Now, like, if you're a very small investor trying to start off, like, you have to win on a few of those gambles in order to be able to like snowball your investment. So I don't know if sorry, we can go to the next question.
No, I see what you're trying to get across. And you know what? When it comes to newer investors as well, that's so difficult for people to grasp that concept of even just how to invest into a project.
Right.
I remember the first time I got off of Ethereum and went to a new chain, it was Binance, BSC, and
Mhm.
I and it was difficult for me. And at the time, the projects that I were looking at, which obviously this is a mistake, you're going to laugh at this, the only projects that I could get into, the only wallet I could use was Trust Wallet because that's all support. So I was like, oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
No, it was not great. I suffered a lot of losses and damage psychologically from doing that. But but like it's tough to teach people how to manage that. So like one of my first things to do would be to say, do your research and like practice, move money around, get into stuff, stake things, and get out and read and watch videos every day.
Oh yeah.
And like
Absolutely.
like like go from having a an elementary school education in crypto until you feel like you're at a high school level where you can come out of high school and get a job and have a proficiency in crypto. Like just try to get that, and then as you go you'll start to find yourself getting more and more educated.
And check out DeFi Llama. I talk about it all the time, but DeFi Llama is one of the greatest tools in DeFi by far. Just randomly pick a chain someday and look at their highest TVL protocols and just see what they're all about. If they're high TVL, why, ask yourself, why are people there? Uh, oh yeah, hey, Tomb. Yeah, Tomb is a great protocol, relatively safe because it's backed by billionaire Harry Ye. So I think that's probably its largest asset. And if you're farming Tomb, I don't know if you're based in the US or based in another country, but if you're in another country and you believe in Tomb as a protocol, go ahead and farm it on Taro. Crank up that APR, APY, do some leverage farming. That's sort of the inner degen in me. But if you believe in the peg, then it's a great play. If you want to do sort of lower risk, then Tomb itself is great. Auto farm that on Reaper.
Yeah, so I ended up getting into Tomb recently, so I'm just into it, maybe 2 weeks into it. So I'm a little late to the game, but I kept hearing about how it was a stable project and it was giving reliable returns and whatnot. So I just recently got into it, and I'm pretty pleased with it. There's the way that I'm doing it is the traditional sense. I haven't done anything degen yet, so there's a lot of maintenance. I have to go in there and I have to claim and I have to swap and I got to go between the different protocols, but I have no complaints because it's earning, a return.
Yeah, definitely. Also, anyone who's using the Phantom chain, please use OpenOcean. It's a protocol that is a DEX aggregator. So what it does is it looks on the Phantom chain for the best exchange that has the best rate between whatever tokens you're using, and it will literally swap from one exchange to another exchange to another exchange in order to get you the least price difference. So if you're swapping like MIM, Magical Internet Money, for USDT or something on a regular exchange, like maybe it's Spirit or Spooky, you might get hit by a 1.5 to 2% price difference. But if you're doing it on OpenOcean, you're going to only lose like point. Yeah, there you go, OpenOcean. You're going to lose such a little amount. It's almost going to be an atomic swap. So
Yeah, I found out about OpenOcean when I was getting into Heck and when I was doing Heck bonds, and you'd have so you don't know what bond you're going to get, and I would have to unstake my Heck, swap it to a stable, and then get back in.
yeah,
And I was doing that, and I was losing a bunch of money by using I think it was, what is it, Spooky Swap?
it's either
Spooky
Spirit.
Swap.
The,
Yeah, yeah, they were taking a fairly large percentage, and then I found out about OpenOcean, and it was taking a much lower percentage. So yeah, it's a good opportunity to use that. I would if you have an opportunity to. But yeah, um, so yeah, Tomb Finance I think is also a good option. But again, it's pretty stable and all that right now. But it is way more degen than some like staking stables. This is a
yeah,
little bit farther out, and it takes education. You have to learn how to do this stuff. It's not easy. You're going to have to figure out how to do it and do some research and watch some videos.
that's right.
All right, so let's see. What would you recommend studying or reading? It depends on what subject you're looking for. I would say that when it comes to reading books, if you're looking at NFTs, Gary V has a bunch of books right now that are out. He's a pretty good author, and he talks a lot about NFTs. But to be honest with you, I'd say crypto's so fast that a lot of it's on video. A lot of it's content creators and people making videos on YouTube and whatnot, but and Twitter reading, it's funny because you only have so many characters, but people will string together 50 lines, of content so that you can read one salient thought. So some of those are actually really good.
Yeah, definitely. So like books cannot be written as fast as DeFi develops. So like Medium articles, there's gonna be tons of Medium articles from tons of different protocols. That's a good place to look. But honestly, get used to and acclimated to reading white papers.
Yep.
So I don't know if Dreko, you can just pull up a random white paper. Even Tomb's Finance's white paper is fine. But like
Okay.
the white paper or the docs of a protocol are essential to read before investing. They can also give you a good indicator on how legitimate a protocol will be, because some white papers are totally anemic with virtually nothing in them, and that should be a huge red flag for you. But some white papers are very well developed. Just make sure it's not copy and pasted from another protocol. But yeah, so like Tomb Finance has a very well fleshed out white paper, so that would give me some confidence in the protocol. It would also allow me to understand the protocol. Like, oh, now I know when I should burn my Tomb token. Now I know when I should redeem my T-share token. Or T-bond, sorry. So all of that stuff is really important to know. But yeah, Twitter, totally invaluable. And then YouTubers, right? Like there are so many good YouTubers out there that just pump out really informative content. And like that's really where a lot of the research can be done. So like Discord, Telegram, white papers, Twitter, and then YouTubers. Like just keep looking, keep finding, and keep searching.
Yep. Yeah. Listen, and like if you're ever in the car and you're driving, put on YouTube channels and stuff like that, and just listen and absorb content. One of the things that I listen to, and I know they get a bad rap for being more centralized and all that, but I listen to Around the Blockchain, and that's a really good one. There's a bunch of different stuff that I'll listen to hear other people's inputs. I try not to listen to just one person talk unless they're hitting on a specific subject. I like to hear multiple people talking, because then if one person has, a good point and somebody can add on to it or correct that point and say, well, I don't believe you 100%. I think that's more valuable. But one of the things I wanted to point out with this white paper, when you're looking at white papers, this is kind of important, and you'll start to see that there were issues with this in the past. What they show here is all of their wallets listed, and this is very detailed. So you have the DAO wallet, the Dev wallet, the Airdrop wallet, the Tomb wallet, the T-share wallet, the T-bond wallet. These are all wallets that are combined and associated with this project. Why is that important? This is so that you can track and see where all the money is. If they don't allow you to track and see where all the money is, then that means they're being, facetious. They're lying. They're not showing you where all the money is. And earlier, when Steven the Calculator Guide showed his screen, he was showing you the Dev wallet and the distribution wallet for Strong. We know where all that money is.
Right.
If you can't do that with a project that you're investing into, especially into DeFi, that's a red flag. That's a really big red flag.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we'll bring up some more. Is Dreko the Bourbon and Crypto guy? Yes, I am the Bourbon and Crypto guy. We plan. So we obviously talk about cryptocurrency. We have a lot of plans. Our Discord's only been open for about a month, a little bit less than a month. We have plans of doing a lot more different types of content. We're going to talk about crypto, but we're also going to talk about bourbon, and we're planning on potentially having bourbon reviews, live reviews, that are on video with human beings and things like that, showing you the bourbon. So that's in the plans. It's not 100% yet, but we're working on that type of stuff as well. But yeah, I'm the Bourbon and Blockchain guy. We already got onto that. Let's see. Here's a question.
Recently subscribed to Patreon with the basic tier though, and would like to know how many calcs do we have access to? Oh gosh, how many calcs? All right, quite a few. All right, so let me put this over here and share my screen again. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to it's so like not organized, so don't judge me.
Uh-oh.
So like here's just some of the paid calcs, but then like my other calculator folder, there's just There's just a bunch of calcs, and there may even be some that I haven't thrown in here yet that I will post on the Patreon as I create them and as I make them. But yeah, just a bunch of calculators, and I usually, every time I look at a new protocol and do a deep dive into one, I'm generally going to build a calculator for it, and then provide that calculator with the Patreon video. So a bunch. A whole bunch.
There's a whole bunch of calculators. I don't know if you know this guy, but he's the
Yeah.
calculator guy.
Message me through the Patreon because I haven't found a way yet to just like have it pinned to the Patreon. If there's a way, please someone let me know. So I'm like just distributing it every time someone asks. I'll send you the link to the whole folder. You have access to all of it.
Absolutely. This is the next question is, if you don't mind, when did you first get into crypto? I'll take the first portion of that. I already kind of glossed over it. I got into crypto in March of 2021. I know it's very popular for a lot of people to lie or embellish on how long they've been in crypto, because the sentiment is the longer you've been in there, the more you know, which is true to a certain extent. But personally, I've been in crypto since March of 2021, and I went in pretty hard. I definitely didn't dabble my foot in the water. I went right into it very, very hard. And one of the biggest protocols I got into was in April. I got into StrongBlock. So yeah, that's how long I've been in there.
What a way to start. Good for you.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of luck involved, but at least that's what I tell myself.
No, for sure. Yeah, so I majored in English and philosophy in college, so I pretty much majored in drugs. And as a result, like Bitcoin was one of the ways in which some of my friends would utilize the Silk Road to procure, say, pharmaceuticals. And I remember just watching Bitcoin. It would go from like $30 one day because like some amount of substance would go. I don't do drugs anymore, guys, or I don't I'm completely sober. But like it would be like $30 for Bitcoin. You have to use X amount of Bitcoins to purchase whatever. And then like a few weeks later, it would be Bitcoin would cost like 60 or 80 or $100. And it never once occurred to me that maybe this is a good investment opportunity because my mind was clearly elsewhere. So I didn't really get into crypto until like 2017. Rode the Ethereum wave up from like 200 and something or whatever up to, I think it peaked at like 1400. Got into one ICO, which I believe was Tezos, and I did pretty well with the IDO. I got out, I bought a laptop. That was sort of my big win. And then I got back into it when Ethereum was at 700 because I saw it was going up after the big stock market crash. And then I've been in ever since.
Yeah, I wish I would have known about it earlier, obviously. I think everybody that gets into crypto says the same thing.
Yeah.
But I value the experiences and the relationships that I've made up to this point. And I think one thing that's important to note is I didn't learn everything myself. So just to kind of circle back on education, right? So that was pretty much the question. How do I get more education in crypto? I think the number one way for you to find education is to find a like-minded group. So look for different groups and see how they act and how they react and how they push out information and content, because not all groups are made for everyone. You might find a group that's very negative. Like if you go in there and say, hey, how do I swap from Ethereum, or how do I move my Ethereum over to AVAX? If you type that into certain groups, you're going to get bombarded with negativity, and people are going to literally throw exploits at you until you want to leave, just because that's how that group runs. And if that's how the people like to run there, I have nothing negative to say about that, but not all people want to live in that environment. So find a group that works for you and attach yourself to it and get involved. So obviously everybody likes to be a lurker because it can, because then there's less, I guess there's less commitment, right? Because all you're doing is reading, but you learn less that way. Get involved, type, like ask questions, meet people, meet friends. That's one of the best ways that you can learn about being in this space. And let's say that we're talking about a project that you don't want to get into. Like, let's say it's, for example, Wonderland Time, right? And we're talking about it. Ask questions about it. And if we're talking about how to get into it, learn, like play along so that you can get geared up for when the next project comes up that you're interested in. You can get into it easier because you've taken these steps with us.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, absolutely. I will say Telegram is a good starting place to get into communities. And then usually it evolves into like Discord. But Telegram, because it's just one stream of everyone there, you're going to get a lot of responses, and the concentrations are very concentrated. So the conversations are very concentrated. So you're going to be able to get a lot of information really quickly if you're in the right groups. Yeah, I've definitely joined some groups where I asked a simple question, got a snarky answer from a mod, and was like, I'm not going to invest in your protocol. Goodbye.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't have time for that nonsense. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
I will tolerate a certain amount of nonsense, but in general, if there's no reason for me to just waste my time like that. There's better things that I could be doing. So, yeah, that's a good point as well. I think what we should definitely talk about, I think I hit most of the questions, if not all of them. One of the things that I want to get out before we leave today is to talk about the importance of security in wallets, hard wallets. It is, I can't stress it enough. You need to put your investments behind a hard wallet and protect yourselves. That right there, that is a Treasure Model 1, and it is in my, so let me preface this by saying I don't make any money off of Treasure. I wish I did. If they want to reach out to me and be a sponsor, that'd be great. I'll do it. But Treasure Model 1 is one of the oldest hard wallets you can get. It's the easiest, in my opinion, my personal opinion, which is not worth much. It's the easiest wallet to use, and it just simply works. And I have several of them. I think I have seven. I have seven. Well, I have seven, and then I have three more that are still in the box. So I diversify all of my investments over hard wallets so that I can't lose them. So, for example, even with Strong, and Stephen, I've talked to you about this in the past, I don't put more than 16 nodes on one wallet, because if that wallet gets compromised, then the most I could lose is 16, and then you don't lose everything you have. So I try to even tell people, like, just be careful with how much money or how much passive income you're putting on one hard wallet.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's there's no other way to say it. It's that important. Like, if you don't have a hard wallet, get one. Order them through the manufacturer if you can. If you plan on merging a MetaMask account, then it's not the worst thing in the world to get them off of the Amazon account that's linked to Satoshi Labs, because once you get the treasure, you're going to change the wallet address anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But not everybody understands that. But if you can just order it directly from Satoshi Labs, order it and get it as quick as you can. And there's tons and tons of content out there to show you how to put your money behind a hard wallet.
Do it.
Yeah, it's important. And you know what? The worst thing is that when we talk to people is when people lose their funds, that's not the right time to put your money behind a hard wallet. So
Right.
I know that it's more steps and it's difficult and there's a financial investment there, but trust me, take the steps now to protect your investment.
That's true. I will say I have heard of some exploits that bypass a hard wallet, but that's a full episode worth of content that
Yeah.
I'd like to dive deep into. But for the most part, you are remarkably, it's like wearing a condom, right? 99% protected, which is much better than unprotected. So
I agree.
highly recommend.
Yeah, I think the only ones that I've heard of are when people send you a link to, like, connect your wallet to, and then you authorize that and go through the steps of authorizing a fictitious link to connect to your wallet, because then you're giving access to the wallet.
Right. There's that one. Then there's, like, if you download anything, remember the Ohm, was like download the Ohm dashboard or download the Wonderland Time dashboard.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, never download anything from any protocol. I
No.
mean, there are some protocols that will have some sort of downloadable, but for the, like, just don't do it. Ask mods first. Always ask before you download anything.
Yeah, one of the things I tell people is if there's ever something that, like, makes your eyes squint or the hair on the back of your neck stand up, get into the Discord that you're part of your family, right? Because there's everybody has 800 Discords, but there's one Discord that you consider like your home base, and whatever that is, whether it's Steven's or mine or whatever it is, doesn't matter. Get in there and ask, hey, does this seem right? And you're going to get a response. Like, especially if you have a good community, they're going to see that, post pictures and say, hey, has anybody seen this before? And that's the best way to fight against losing your money, is helping get your friends' opinions.
Yep, couldn't agree more.
All right, so let's see. Here's a question that just came through. Do you have any thoughts on financial NFTs? Like which, I guess I'd like a little bit more on that. Like which ones? Like, are you talking about NFTs for gaming or NFTs that make you income over time? Please give us an example. We'll circle back to your question if you could, please. All right. So this is from How. Question: what are your thoughts on emerging NFT play to earn? Okay, there you go. So there's, have you been following the NFT games?
Unfortunately, I have not. So on the Discord, Shelby is our NFT and gaming guy. So I would defer all of my answers to him, or all these questions to him. So unfortunately, this is not my purview, and I don't feel comfortable answering this. I don't
Well,
feel confident answering it.
say it again.
I don't feel confident giving an answer.
Yeah, so I've only dabbled in a handful of games, so I'll just talk about the ones that I've done real quick. I got into Phantom Wolf game. Something happened to their contract. I thought that they rugged me. I lost a bunch of money. They just recently we reopened, but it's like really, really slow going. I think they lost a lot of confidence. So it wasn't. It was like a soft rug. I don't know. I don't want to say that, but their protocol shut down for 2 months. So everybody that was invested left. There's nobody left invested in the project. So that was one. And then the one that I've been recently playing with, and this is obviously just for fun. So this is obviously not financial advice, and I don't expect anybody to get into it. But we were playing Police and Thieves, and you literally just mint cops and robbers, and it was just more fun than anything. I didn't. It's not something that I invested a lot of money into to make money, but I don't know. I think that if these projects keep rising and falling, yeah, it could be the next season of rugs because people are following the wave of what's popular. And once people that are bad actors find out what's popular, they put out something that's junk just to get the money, and then they take all the money and run. And they've been doing that for centuries, from since the beginning of time. So there's nothing different. They're just doing it on a different platform.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I'll let you take this one.
Oh, sure. Okay, so lending wrapped Bitcoin, long-term culture for near zero risk yields, DeFi, not CeFi if it's possible. Yeah, so getting a yield on wrapped Bitcoin is totally fine if you're using a wallet, like a hardware wallet, and you feel protected and you trust the protocol. I think there are a few places you can get a decent yield on Bitcoin. Now, lending wrapped Bitcoin, it depends on the platform, right? So I would want to know which protocol you're utilizing to lend. I think a few that I can think of that have lending would be Tranquil, I think. Aave probably has it. Geist might have it. So different chains would have different versions of lending wrapped Bitcoin. So it depends, like, what's your conviction on that chain? What are you paying in bridging fees and bridging costs and wrapping costs? Because if the APR is 20% and you're paying 1% to get it onto that chain and stake it, then that 1% is going to take 1/20th of a year to get back, which can be a long time. And by the time you get it back, the yield might be gone. So yeah, I would need to know more about which protocols you're looking at doing this with, but getting a yield on wrapped Bitcoin, totally feasible, totally possible. If you want to get most consistent yield, you want to go with the Ethereum protocol because like super high TVL, super consistent yields. If you want to get like a higher yield with more risk and more risk of the APY tanking, then yeah, go to an EVM.
Maybe that can be an idea for content in the future, because I know that you like to look at those type of things. What would be your best options to lend Bitcoin and Ethereum without losing custody of it?
Yeah. I mean, there are some that you can definitely lose custody of. So
I do not want to lose custody. I want to keep custody.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys if anyone watching is into DeFi options, but I feel like the way it works is pretty cool. Like you'll stake your wrapped Bitcoin or wrapped Ethereum or whatever, you'll get a yield on it, and if it doesn't get called, you keep the Ethereum, the Bitcoin, the premium, and the farming yield or the staking yield. But of course, if it gets called, you have to sell at the strike price, even though you still get to keep the premium and the farm rewards. So it's another option for like blue chip plays.
All right, so this is Myron Gaines saying that he doesn't need a hardware wallet because if people hack him, they see how much money he has and they just give him more coins. So that's a good point too. That's a solid strategy. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad strategy. Circling back to the question about NFTs, they're saying,
Right.
NFTs that give you income over time, like nodes becoming NFTs, for example, Thor. So, in full disclosure, I have not kept up with these protocols. It's just not something that I was into, so I can't give a really good answer on this. Go
So I
ahead.
mean, I can speak a tiny bit on it, like a really tiny bit, and then I'd be getting out of my lane. So like what I do understand is that like a lot of things are being tokenized or NFTized, non-fungible tokenized. Like yields can be tokenized. A strategy can be tokenized. So like Vision, which is another Ethereum protocol, allows you to tokenize a Uniswap V3 strategy and get yield off that. And I think that's amazing. That's awesome. I think that if we happen to see node migration for a lot of these protocols, we're going to see is that we're going to see NFTs be the means to which that happens. Having yields be tokenized. I've also seen like options NFTized. So it's hard for me to say like which ones are going to be good, which ones are going to be bad. But if the underlying protocol through which that NFT is operating is solid and has been consistent, then I would assume that the NFT would also be solid.
Yeah, I think that NFTs have so much versatility that they're going to be used for so many different things. And there's a couple projects that I'm watching just to see if they can get up off the ground, just because they're trying to tokenize very specific aspects in the world. And if they get a good market, if a large project or an established real world company takes on that idea, it's going to go through the roof. So I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think the application of it just needs to take hold. And then I think we got like maybe one or two more. Does anybody have pre-search nodes, web search engine with nodes to support it? So I have pre-search nodes. I don't know about you.
I had pre-search nodes.
Okay.
So I'm really big into DeFi, and I had to ask permission to get my money out, and DeFi is supposed to be permissionless. It left a bad taste in my mouth. I wish them the best. I think what they're doing is really cool, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I still have mine because I put some in and I still have yet to like get my ROI. But the money's still there, right? I mean, it hasn't gone anywhere. I can take it out when I want. But one of the things that I look at is how long is it going to take for me to make the money I put into it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still doing that. It's a slow churn. So I'm just going to let it sit in there and see what happens. But I think it's a fairly stable project, and I like what they're doing. So, I think it's a much slower DeFi play, but it's not a bad one if that makes any sense.
I would consider like DeFi Lite because it is through a centralized company, and you do have to get permission to get your investment out in some cases. Because they will tell you if the gas fees are high right now, we're not going to send you your pre. That's just the way it is. Maybe it's changed. It's been a few months since I've been out, but like that aspect just rubbed me the wrong way. However, they have an actual product, right? You can
Yeah,
go and you can use pre-search. You can search for things. You can go and sponsor your content, which I think is really cool, and I love the fact that they have that. And so like 99% of protocols out there have no actual product. Pre-search does. So credit where credit is due.
absolutely. Yeah, I have nothing wrong with the project. I hope it doesn't come off that way. It's just it's a long-term project with a little bit slower of a return on your investment, but the product itself, the project and what it's doing, is very admirable, and they do have a product. So yeah, they're doing things right. I think this will be the last question. This is a great question to end on as well. How do we hold crypto project teams more accountable, hold them to their mission and long-term plan? Uh, do you want to take a crack at it first? Or you want me to?
Yeah, you go ahead.
I, so here's the thing. This is a this is a double-edged sword. So everybody wants decentralization, everybody wants anonymity, everybody wants freedom, everybody wants all these different things, right? Decentralization and blah blah blah. Then when you get wrecked, who's accountable? Well, nobody's fucking accountable because there's no rules. This is the Wild West, and you invested your money into a person that never showed their face. You don't know where their wallets are. You don't know where they live. You don't know what company they work for. That's just what happens. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, that's the risk everybody's taking in crypto, depending on what project you're in. There are some projects out there that are the opposite, that are trying to do things the right way to create their own accountability. But at the end of the day, the people that hold them accountable is them. The only thing that's going to change that is regulation, in my opinion. I don't. regulation can be good and bad for the space depending on what they do and the decisions they make. But I think that is the answer, is what would make them more accountable would be regulation and rules that are put in place. Whether it's good or bad for the space, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I tend to agree with virtually everything you just said. Also, hey, Christine, shout out to you and your brother for getting me into StrongBlock. Can't thank you guys enough. You are the reason that all this is possible. But also, like, how to hold them more accountable. Either actually create a functional decentralized DAO, because then things are only going to happen if they get voted on by the community. Otherwise, like the best way to hold them accountable is if they have a mission, either like vote with your dollar, vote with your wallet, effectively. But yeah, it is the Wild West. I tend to think that the Wild West is what it should stay and how it should remain. But audits, KYC programs can all help with some level of accountability. And hopefully we'll see more KYC protocols popping up to assist with that, where like a third party will KYC a pseudonymous dev or something.
Yeah, and part of the strategy that we're trying to take on our end too is to look at projects and make sure that they are taking the accountability that's necessary for us to invest in their project. So I'm starting to take more of a stance of, all right, what has this project done to take accountability, right? Have they done third-party KYC? Are they doxed? Have they put locking periods on their wallets? Is there a third-party signer for their protocol and things like that, or for money being moved within their protocol? Is there a third-party person that's going to sign that stuff that's outside of the project, right? There's a lot of different things that can be done, but if none of that stuff's in place and you haven't invested yet, you might want to step back and think, what am I putting my money into, and where's my money going? If you can't answer those questions, that might not be good.
Yeah, maybe we need a few more influencers that like check those boxes for the communities, and say like, hey, here's this new protocol, meets none of these boxes, stay away.
Right.
And if people held their protocols feet to the fire more often, maybe we'd see less or fewer, the old grammar teacher in me, fewer rugs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're 100% right. But yeah, with that being said, I think that there's a lot of value in these conversations. None of this was planned. There's no notes in front of me. This is literally just a conversation between me and Steven. There's nothing that's leading this other than our knowledge of the market and kind of what's going on and the questions you're asking. And I think that there's a void there. So going forward, I think that we'll try to see if we can set more of these up and get some more voices in here so that they can have, differing opinions and different things to discuss or talk about, right?
Yeah, and man, thank you so much for having me on. Your Discord's awesome. People go check it out and join it, not just for the crypto, also for the bourbon.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And thank you for joining. We're pretty open about that. We like to have people come in our Discord from other Discords and take a look around. And there's a lot of familiar faces in the chat tonight. So thank all of you for coming here tonight. Thank you, Stephen, for being part of our Discord and for coming on here and, having a conversation. And I hope we can do this again in the future and maybe get some more familiar faces up here to, to spark more conversation, if you will.
It was an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir. Always a gentleman. Stephen the Calculator Guy, everyone. Love to have you. Hope to talk to you again soon. Have a wonderful night, and I'll see all of you again soon. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.